There we go. Okay. All right. So as you guys know, I sent out a series of emails earlier this week and then last week, and said that I was going to be bringing Dr. Evan Hughes on to talk about what he's doing on social media that's making such a big impact in his practice. Like this guy is actually, I mean, he's setting records across the board, setting income records, setting patient visit records, number of new patients. He's just crushing it. And he's really doing a lot of that. I mean, there's some other factors and whatnot, but he's doing, as far as social media goes, he is making these really short, like 30-second videos. Some of them are a little longer, but like 30-second videos that are, when people are watching them, they're connecting with him and they're saying to themselves, I need to go see this guy. And he said, like, they're actually coming into the practice and he's like, people are saying, I've seen all of your videos.
Mhm.
Not just like I saw a video, but I saw all of your videos. And the way he's doing it is just like pure genius. So the way I met Dr. Evan was about a year and a half ago. We've been working together about a year and a half.
Mhm.
He reached out. I think he came in as a referral from Dr. Stephanie, I think,
Yep,
Bartow, right?
Stephanie Bartow.
Yeah. So Stephanie Bartow had referred him over, and we had a conversation, and he liked what he had to hear. And I started running some Facebook ads for him, and we started making videos. And I gave him some video suggestions in the beginning, and we tested a lot of things. And he's going to go into that here in just a few minutes. And we finally, like, well, not we, but he, based on some of the stuff that I had suggested to him, he modified it and found a formula that he's going to share with you guys today on how you can make these same types of videos using your own personality to attract high volumes of new patients that aren't just looky loos, people that are actually coming in and wanting your services. So it's pure genius. And I love it because it's simple, and it does take a little bit of effort. He'll go into that, but it is simple to do and can yield massive results. So, Dr. Evan, thanks for coming on, man, and I'm excited to hear everything you want to share with everybody today.
Thanks, Murph. It's thanks for sharing your audience with me. And there's a thing about getting success and getting this thing is that the next thing you want to do, honestly, is to share it. And I realized when we were setting this up, if people start seeing 1,000 new patients a month or a week or a day as a result of any of this, I lose nothing. This is only like, here, guys, go do this thing. Um, so getting one of the stats, just to throw the boast down, I was at about 130 patients a week volume when I met Chris, and we started talking about how to do digital. I interviewed about 6 guys. Who do I want to do it with? And I said, I'd love to get to 200. I don't have to. My practice is great. I have a good career, but I said, let's give it a shot. And we started working together. And last week, I hit my career high of 224. And some guys are doing crazy volume, but when you go from 130 to 224, something happened. And it has to do with the synergy of what Chris and I created. And I think the biggest thing that attracted me to his work in the beginning, he talked about split testing. And I knew it as A/B testing when I learned it and read about it in the literature. But he said, no, I don't like A/B testing. That suggests you've tried 2 things and you've picked the one that worked better. And he said, let's try 8 things, put them out there. It's digital, right? The results are immediately apparent. And then you need to figure out what to measure to figure out whether you got an impact or not. Let's try 8, and immediately you can eliminate half, right? Then we eliminate 2 more, and then we'll get one that just happens to work. And I remember Jason Alexander who played one of Seinfeld's supporting characters. Seinfeld is one of the greatest sitcoms ever made, one of the most successful, still running now. And Jason Alexander said, who's the guy who played George Costanza, he said Seinfeld had the zeitgeist. And he had the thing of the time that makes the impact. And it was like BJ Palmer 100 years ago had bought a printing press. And that's what worked then, right? Now we need to tune our message and how it works out to get relevant to right now. And we tried a bunch of ideas, Chris. You gave me a bunch of what I thought were cool ideas. We tried props, talking about different things, describing stuff, having different skits, having people in conversation. I interviewed a couple of people, and then interesting pictures. And we got a little result. And then I threw somebody on the table. And it was an idea I watched someone else do. And we put a microphone on me, and I got some good poppy noises out of this woman's spine. She happened to be very attractive. That doesn't hurt at all. and she was smiling the whole time. And I remember we just were watching in awe. This thing just took off. So it's a combination of animation. Now, when I adjust people, I'm very physical. I've been described like a dancer. I used to do, Tai Chi. I'm doing jujitsu now. So I'm really lining my body up as I'm doing these moves. And I also have a banter that I'm running with that person. I just a 93-year-old woman, just as an example. And I said, so this woman is 93 years old. When I adjust her spine's going to break like glass. She's going to go to pieces. And I just lean in and I adjusted her and she went, ooh, right. And she looked at me and she said, now, can you do anything about my hair? And I said, do I know if I can do anything about your hair? So we shared a laugh, and that one started hitting it, because it was very authentic and it was very in the moment. But to arrive at the zeitgeist required us to do a bunch of split testing, trying stuff that didn't work. And one of the gifts that Chris did is he loves to watch the data. We'll throw a video up and we say, I think this one's going to do great. And it doesn't. It flops. But it doesn't matter if you've got a guy that's going to pay attention to the stats, and then he'll give me feedback. This is working. This is not working. Right. So everybody's got a different personality and thing that you do. And I believe one of the most important things about marketing is that you fricking enjoy it. If you're doing videos that you hate, right? In the beginning, you're no good at it. You're producing this stuff and you stink at it and your staff stinks at it. They do take terrible pictures. The sound gets messed up. That's called production, right? But if you can find things that are fun to do, you're going to do them more. And that was one of the biggest things I did to make Chris's job easy, right? And I want to produce a series of coaching where I'm going to call How to Play Nice with Your Marketer, because I think that people like to hire a marketing guy and say, you go take care of the marketing stuff and get me some new patients, right? And guys, it doesn't work like that. You got to find some way of expressing who you are through audio, through visual, through copy. And I don't know of another way to do that than failure. I also don't know of a better way to enjoy failure than doing stuff that's fun, right? Finding stuff that you're good at. So Chris and I talked about this, some dude who did an X-ray demonstration where they showed the person going in flexion extension, and then they put a picture next to it.
Digital motion X-ray, yeah.
Digital motion. And that's an action shot. And it actually checks all the boxes. Now, I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. That was that doctor's thing. That doctor looked cool doing that thing, right? In my practice, I'm adjusting by hands. I have no equipment. But someone using an activator from different angles and talking about that activator and getting really excited about it, hey, that could work. You could even make jokes about it. You know what? I am not very coordinated, so I need to use a machine, but I got this from Krypton. Superman himself used to have this used. That's why he could fly so fast. And then you go into it. Some story that can either be about humor, satire is something that I value very much, or you can tell an impassionate story. There's a colleague of mine, Dr. Kelly, who you work with, who just has an incredible ability to reach the heartstrings of somebody deeply when they're adjusting a person. We're not correcting a subluxation. We're not fixing a person's pain. This person can now pick up their kids again for the first time, or their grandkids. And she can tell those stories in a way that pulls you in. She's also very attractive. That doesn't suck either, right? So use whatever your thing is. And you need to have you got to check the boxes, but you can check them your way.
Yeah. And I was going to comment on that actually. So, everybody's got like a different type of personality, right? And I see I'm not going to say who he is, but a referral of yours had reached out to me last year sometime and decided for whatever reason not to start, but he just reached out again and like a week ago. So we're talking now. I think he's going to, be a client, but he wanted me to evaluate his Instagram videos. And to your point, what you're talking about here. So I went over to Instagram and he has a ton of educational videos that he's doing. And granted, it's all great information. Like he's not getting any traction, like with the views or the comments or the likes or anything like that. But he's consistently putting out these educational videos. And I told him, I said, here's the difference. Cause he was like, so, what's the difference between like what Evan's doing and what I'm doing? And, I said, the difference is that while Evan is educating, he is also doing something of action. So he's adjusting the patient. He's having a conversation. He's talking to the camera like I'm there with him, the viewer, a fly on the wall watching him, and he's talking to me and explaining what he's doing and how it's affect like, one of the things I love is that with your videos, you always talk about what the person does for a living.
Mm.
So this is Rhonda. She's a bartender, and she's slinging shots all night long in the bar, and she's having to bend over and lift heavy kegs and put glasses up, and she's doing all that. And she holds all of her stress right here, and then you have fun with it. And you'll say, so we're going to adjust this and we're going to get the demons out, boom. And then you adjust and then you get that audible, and that ASMR type of, like, people love that type of stuff. But like, but that's the difference between saying, standing there as a talking head and saying, I had a patient came in, her name was Rhonda. She's a
Mhm.
bartender. Totally different, because now, like, as you're talking, like, I feel like I'm there in the office with you observing. And
Mhm.
if you really want to get engagement from people and people waiting for the next video, you've got to entertain them. If they just watch a talking head of you doing an educational moment on stretching or whatever, you're not going to get that person saying, wow, I can't wait to watch the next video.
The talking heads are
That,
dead.
yeah, talking heads are dead, right?
Talking heads are dead. It's over. Yeah, and
But
there's
that was
actually,
kind of the beauty of what you do.
and there's a list of 5 things that I'm after that I've kind of distilled this down over the course of us working together. So the first, and I've also taken some professional courses to congeal this together. And by the way, I also joined BNI, and so I got good at giving 60-second commercials. And my
Okay.
parents are jazz musicians, so there's a bunch of things to draw from to get that performative aspect. That again, it's got to fit you. But here's my list of 5 things you got to have in order to make this whole thing work. The number one is you got to have a scroll stopper. And that
Mhm.
scroll stopper better work in 3 seconds. You might get 6 at the end of the week when the person's not fast enough to scroll right, but it's so fast to get rid of you. You've got about 3 seconds. Okay. Now the scroll stopper is just like you described. When I'm on the table, I'm leaning over the person like I'm ready to adjust, because and I've got my ops manager is really good with the camera, so she'll get in position. It will look action, so people go, what is that? What is he going to do? Creates the question. You've just interrupted the boring with there's action. And then I'll look up and I've got to say something that continues that scroll stopper. But then it has to transition to the second thing, which is relevance. Am I going to drop an elbow onto this fool and try and tap him out? Is that what video this is? Am I going to try? Am I going to raise the dead? Am I going to give them a better orgasm? Am I going to get them to stop fighting, with their kids? What's going to happen? We don't know, but it's got to be relevant. So I'll put my hands on them and I'll look up and say, today, we've got a plumber. Now, obviously, they hired this guy for his intelligence, and I smash his shoulders like this with my hand. And the dude is built like a water buffalo. This guy's shoulders are enormous. But what I'm doing with that is it's an action shot. What's this guy doing on the table? Then I say, this is a plumber. They go, oh, he's telling a story. And then I'm teasing him a little bit because he's huge. I'm teasing him about him being big and dumb, but I'm only really saying that satirically. There's a big smile on my face that looks kind. They go, oh, he's actually smart also. Now I want to know more about this guy, and I want to know more about why they're there. Right now, there are thousands of ways to set that arc up. This is just one example. And this is why you have to bring your own personality into it. Right. But I love satire. I love ribbing people, but really making sure that I'm really uplifting them at the same time. And I flipped that dude over and I went to adjust his neck and I went, and this guy works harder than any human being I've ever seen before. Boom, boom. And now he'll be able to work even harder. Right.
Mm,
And so
right.
the technical part of it is like I'm sprinkling in technical, but I had to get permission to make it technical. Otherwise, I'm a talking head. But if I'm telling a story, I'll go, yeah, this guy came up, his C5 and 6 took separate vacations, man. They were tired of working, and his soft tissue was just riddled with scar tissue, man. Now, boom, boom, 5, 6 are now back in place. And what do you think is going to happen to that tissue? That's right. It's going to become more stable. Well, I just talked about a hypermobility. That's a very rich idea, but I had to tell a story first and make it relevant and then not get too lost in the technical. I'm not trying to teach them. I'm
Mhm.
trying to create curiosity. What? Maybe I have a C5, 6 thing and I work hard, and I
Right.
wonder why this is relevant to me. When they're curious, they will come in to see you to find out why.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, when you're talking about, like, what they, like, do for a living, uh, everybody relates to that, right? Because it's like, because now they're so now they are a normal human being just like them, right? And it's not like where you're sitting down with them knee to knee on the table and say, "So tell me, you know, when you first came to see me, what was going on?" You know, they got that interview. Like you're telling them what's going on with them, but it's as I'm watching it, like, because that's the thing with every video that you do, every time you mention what they do for a living, like when I watch that, I'm like, I want to know more about that.
Mhm.
I want to know more about how that's affecting, like what how their job is affecting them. And then, and so many times people can relate. They may not be a plumber, maybe they're a barber, but they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, you know, I get that. I work hard too, you know,
And
and it's
always
like,
in reverence to that profession. I mean, I love like you. I'm so curious about people and what they do for a living. No matter what a person does, I can find a way to respect and appreciate how hard that is. Because if you think about it, if you have a hobby, that's something you do for fun. You do it for you.
mhm,
Professions suck. Do you know why they suck? Because you're making it all about them. I used
mhm.
to like doing this thing. Now I serve other people by doing this thing, and they have needs and wants and desires, and that's annoying. So it's hard to be a professional, honestly, in whatever the profession is. So I have a deep respect for that and how much, like you're saying, the tension it creates. And just as you're saying, everybody's got a profession of some kind, right? The stay-at-home mom, that's a profession. That's a different kind. And when someone who's retired, they have the accumulated tension from over the years, of
Mhm.
what their hustle is and or used to be. So to me, it's a slam dunk, but I also am very comfortable doing that. If you're a sports chiropractor, you talk about sports. Well, there's a slam dunk. So many people love sports, right? And there's another one. You don't have to reach everybody. You have to reach enough. You have to cast a net that gets the people that are singing your song, right?
Mm.
And I think that's the key. And so much with experimentation, and I'm only on point number two. I'm going to hold the cliffhanger for the next three. Don't worry, I won't forget them. But another thing that's made me super successful in working with you is the volume of material we create. One of the things I listen to people, they talk about marketing and they say, I have a great idea. Well, you're talking to a beginner. If someone says, I have three ideas, I'm going to try them and split test them. Okay, now I'm talking to someone who knows what's what. So when we're producing videos, the two major values I have are number one, keep it simple. But maybe three, keep it simple, keep it fun. But also we want to produce a lot of works and not be attached to them. One of the things I love is stand-up comics. And you know how many stand-up comics have written a very, very funny joke and it didn't land. It just didn't work. You don't know until you put it in front of the audience. And the stand-up comedian has the advantage of they're rated every 7 seconds, so every 12 or 7 seconds. So it's like they're getting fast, honest feedback. Got the laugh, didn't get the laugh, right? This material, it's like, I learned I need to keep track of three things in my context. You keep track of more because this is your specialty, but I'm keeping tracks of views. I'm keeping tracks of any click-throughs, right? Any actions the person's taken. And I'm keeping track of how many butts in the seats did I get as a result of the work. And I got to get butts in the seats for marketing to be worthwhile. Other than that, I'm just entertaining people, which is fine. But for this to work, to gather the momentum, I got to figure out how are we getting butts in the seats. Another this is a huge point. I've trained a couple offices how to set this up is to make sure that it's wherever your video equipment is, you can have it at a moment's notice. So for example, my staff will ask, hey, do you want to be in an adjusting video today? And if the person says no, you say no problem. You just immediately let it go. And some people go, yeah, they got to have that microphone on me within 10 seconds. So that doesn't slow anything down. When people make a big production out of it, it creates a lot of stress. It better work. It decreases your volume. If you're just tossing videos, because then you get it in front of Chris and Chris goes, yeah, this was good, but this didn't work. You can start to get feedback, and I got Tina, who's my office manager, used to be a professional photographer, man. I lucked out with her. And so she knows angles. She's never done videos before, but she knew angles, right? Got my junior staff involved. She's taking pictures, and my senior staff was going, you didn't make the patient look cool. You didn't pick an angle that caused them to look, either they got their belly or got their tear on their shirt. These little details, But
Right.
because we're fast with production, we don't mind tossing out a video and going, nah, that one didn't work.
Right.
Let's do another. So if you want to produce one a week, shoot for 3 at least.
Right. And that's a good point. That's a good point because like that's one of the biggest obstacles I run into working with docs is the low volume of content that they're willing to make. And a lot of times it's the excuse of like, well, I don't have the time, or, I'm just not comfortable on videos, have a hard time with it. And that's the thing, like with some of the videos that you're making, they're short videos, so it doesn't really take a lot of time to do it. But if you're making a lot of volume of videos each week, because that was one of the things I loved about you, is that like it's like every week you were posting new videos to your Facebook page, which created a reservoir of videos that I could choose from, versus saying, hey, Dr. Evan, I need you to make me a video. And then you saying, okay, well, I can do it on Tuesday because I have less patients on that day. And, we're going to have to take multiple takes and blah, blah, blah. So it's like
And,
when you create a
and
big production out of it, if you're comfortable with just like creating it and then enough, like just in the creation mode, to your point of, okay, I made 3 videos this week, 2 of them sucked, 1 worked, let's use that one. You know what I mean? And because you're going to make shitty videos.
yeah,
You are, especially if you're not used to making it in the beginning, your videos are they're going to suck, but you
mhm.
have to be detached from it. And I love that you said that. You have to be detached from like, oh, that was a horrible video, because that's the only way you get better at it is by
Mhm.
failing.
Yeah, and if I don't shoot that video for you on Tuesday, guess where it sits? It sits in my stress. Oh shit, I got to get something for Chris. Oh man, I'm behind. Versus if you're just pumping out volume, then you can just let it go. You can say,
Yeah.
okay, good. It's in his hands now. And then the marketing, God forbid, you might have an idea and go, that's kind of fun. Let's roll with this.
Right.
The other type of video that we do, by the way, the ones that we figured out that worked is we do rants. And so I don't know if you dialed into my media, whether it's Boxborough Vitality in Boxborough, Massachusetts, Dr. Evan
There's your
Hughes, look that
Facebook
stuff up.
page, Boxborough Vitality.
Yep. And you've got the Instagram also, and you'll see me come out once in a while and I'll start like this and I'll go, you know what drives me crazy? People telling me they slept wrong. You didn't sleep wrong. Sleeping wrong is innate. You did stupid things and I'll just go on this Muppet rant. And what we learned is that you tried to use one of those as marketing and it was completely ineffective. But
Mm-hmm.
once people know me, they actually love, wow, I love that rant you went on about pillows. I love that thing you went on about landscaping. Once I've gotten the scroll stopper relevance and then the other 3, they're at a different point in the sales cycle. Now they're ready to listen to something that's different, right?
Right.
It's a different kind of action shot. So we'll shoot those and when we produce these adjusting videos, we're just tossing them up on our local page, which is managed by my staff, right? And so Tina will throw those up on TikTok. Sometimes they could go onto YouTube. What matters most is that it's a format you would like to populate. If you want a YouTube channel, that's a great idea. Toss the videos up onto YouTube, and then Chris can look at it and grab it like a sushi buffet, right? But also it gives my staff something to do. We're not just doing busy work on an assembly line, just tossing things. We'll actually put videos up and go, hey, how'd that do? Hey, I got 100 views, 100 likes. Hey, we got our first TikTok video up to 400,000 views.
Wow.
We just happened to hit it. I don't know how big a deal that is in the industry, but we just shot it up there. It was an attractive 13-year-old girl. That doesn't suck. We were talking about posture. We adjusted her and stood her back up. It ticked all the boxes, and we put it out at the right time of day on the correct week, on the correct part of the presidential election cycle. I don't know. We put it out and it spiked, and we've been chasing that for fun ever since.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean in my business? Nothing. This is something that we just start putting it out, and then Chris can observe it and go, aha. Now, here's another big part. By creating these videos and putting a bunch of content up, patients have come into me, like you said in the beginning, and they say, I watched your videos. And it's almost, I'm looking for the right word for what this is. They want to appear studious, but as if it's almost accusatory, but that isn't the right word either. It's like, I found you. I've looked you up.
Did my research. Yeah.
I've done it. And they feel now familiar with the practice because they've seen a bunch of the things that you've created. Right. So there's a really tight window of success for creating the scroll stopper and the relevance and the other elements that causes the marketing piece to work. But once you have their attention, you've got it. Right. And now there's more it's more forgiving. People are excited to see what's going to come next. And that's actually the third thing that has to be in place. So scroll stopper relevance, then it has to be polarizing. You may not sit up there and stay straight, talking head. You can't be always angry or always happy or always matter of fact. It must change in order for the brain to go. That's like, imagine the monotone professors we had back in university, right? You had to like punch yourself in the face to keep awake long enough to pay attention to what they were saying so you could pass the bloody test, right? So don't be monotonous in any way. I mean, we're being a talking head now, but you can see me moving my hands. That's generally how I teach.
Right.
And to modulate the tone. And then you and I have a banter back and forth. So these are things you can add into all your videos that will keep people going, oh, there's the guy that helps me pay attention. And it's relevant to me because he's talking about the body. He's talking about sleep. He's talking about different body conditions that go away.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and to your point earlier with, uploading the content to your social media. So like when we're running an ad, we're using those types of ads where you're adjusting and you're talking and teaching and that sort of thing like that. And then you have the rant videos, right? That, we don't run as ads. We tried them, like you said, and they fell flat on their face as an ad. We didn't get any leads from them. So, but those are important because like, as people see your ad, on every single ad, there is a link to your page. Like, it has your page name, Boxborough Vitality. So people will say to themselves, well, let me go check that out, right? So they click on that. So they might not opt in to your offer, but they go check out your page. And then they see that your page is active and it's got lots of other videos that, they just saw this one video and then there's this rant video. And that's where people start to get more. So like, just because the rant video isn't working as an ad doesn't mean it doesn't work. Because as they watch that, now they start to get a little more in tune with who you are personality wise. Oh, this guy's kind of nuts. He's a little crazy. I like that. He is, oh, well, he's, I can tell he's being sarcastic, but being serious at the same time, like what he's talking about, so like people tend to navigate towards people that are like-minded. And the more you can show or the more like that are more like them. So the more you can show your personality side of things as well, the more likely you are to attract, you're going to repel a certain group of people. They're going to be like, this guy's a dick. I don't like, they'll take what you're saying, like as being like your rant as like, this guy's an asshole, and then other people will laugh at it and say that makes so much sense. Like he's so right, because that's how maybe they are. And that is key as well, making videos that let your personality shine, maybe you're not a rant chiropractor, right? But maybe you're a chiropractor that is like, just somebody who is very deeply caring and loving and like, you're very giving, so you can let that shine through your messaging, always be who you are. Don't ever, and this is the biggest thing, what everything Dr. Evan's talking about. It's, we're not telling you like, go do it exactly like Evan, like do the rants, do this and do it the way he does it. You've got to like kind of figure out who you are and how you can incorporate this into the formulas there, like you can talk about like what the person does for a living and whatnot, but like, your technique is going to be different than his. So there, you see how you just need to kind of like puzzle it together,
You do. And in the beginning, when you're finding your thing, I didn't know rants would be my thing. I didn't know that until we shot it one day and my office manager and I laughed our butts off. We said, we don't even care how this lands. This was so much fun to shoot this rant. And so now on Monday, she's got to do another rant. I go, okay. And I think I get myself frustrated about something and then I just go off and it just works. And the same about the adjusting videos and telling the story about the profession. That's enjoyable. But I didn't know that. I actually copied that idea and then I ended up doing it my way. So there's something to be said for copying it first and then let yourself emerge,
right.
And if I think about, a woman, a female chiropractor holding a baby and talking about that baby's future. Well, I can't do that. I just babies. But if you put a woman in that position, she's going to land differently than I will because I'm a dude. Use your thing, whatever it is, someone who's older versus a younger chiropractor, the same thing. All of it comes together. And that's my fourth principle. So you got scroll stopper, you got relevance, got to be relevant somehow, even through poetry, right? Poetry isn't accurate, but it's still relevant. So is comedy. Then it's got to be polarizing, which is a little scary. We like to play it safe. No, it's got to be something gregarious and something subtle that mix together, right? The fourth one is you got to keep good stats. And that's how you know when what you're doing is landing and where to put it, exactly like we're talking about. And these become much easier, like Chris aptly said, to let it go if you've got enough volume. And in order to get volume, by the way, you got to have a clean system for producing those videos. So see, there's so many things that come together that that make the thing work. But then there's number 5. And when you got this, then you got it, which is you got to have a funnel. And you got to have a way of capturing people's attention. Once you got the scroll stopper and it's relevant, you got their attention. Once it's polarizing, you can keep their attention. You got the stats. Now you can tune your game to make sure you're effective. Then you need a good funnel. And this is where Chris and I had to tune some stuff to figure out how to make New England work. Remember when I first called you up, I said, do you have any clients in New England? Because if you're out in the Midwest or the South, you can do a chicken dinner and you get 25 people showing up. Okay.
Right.
In the in the Northeast, in Boston, we're not coming. We're just doing it.
I got a client in New Jersey, and I've talked to him about them. And he's like, dude, this is fucking New Jersey. He's like, ain't nobody coming to a dinner in New Jersey.
That's it. And if anybody could do it, you could probably figure it out, right? But what I'm saying is we've got a different message for a different place. And the only way to know that is split testing and what causes a human being to trust you to come in. Because what are you asking these people to do, right? We got a $37 offer. That's what I happened to pick. A friend of mine picked what you said, 57 the other day or something.
Yeah, 57. Yep.
Yeah. So you can tune that. That's another thing to adjust. But what you're really asking for is curiosity killed the cat, right? And so people are curious. They're like, I think this is important to me, but this is a guy who's going to touch my body. And then maybe he's going to ask me to take my clothes off and touch my body. Some doctors do that. And maybe the staff will be rude to me and I'll lose some dignity when I come in. And maybe it'll be uncomfortable. This is the risk, okay, that are in because they don't know you. So the more, you can express, number one, value through relevance, right? And activity and say, we're active and vibrant and doing stuff, but you give them a little piece of your authentic self and go, I don't know what that guy's going to do when I get to the office, but I feel like I know him. I feel like I trust him. Right. Then all you have to do is not be weird. All you have to do is be something congruent with that and do a halfway decent exam and boom, you're set up. One thing on the exam though, I have learned doing Facebook ads. Originally, when I met Chris, I was seeing about 8 new patients a month, 8 to 10. And if you're closing at 85%, which I was, your practice grows by about 20% per year. So I was on a nice, easy trajectory coming up, and that was good. When you go from 8 new patients a month to 25 new patients a month, I think the record was 31. We saw in April doing your stuff. Guess what? You got to tighten your exams. So what I did with my day one process, my consultation, the words I select, my mannerisms, that got better, building rapport with people. I had to improve that. And my exam is now a very, it's informative, but it's extremely tight. I know exactly what I'm looking for and what I'm saying to the person as I'm working with them. I take my x-rays and I say, I need a day to go over these. Can you come back tomorrow? Right. And I'm not getting any pushback. They're like, yep, got it. Because we've tuned what we're saying and how we're doing it. And then of course, when the person comes back for the day 2, now you're actually in great shape because not only they risked coming in the first time, they've experienced value with you. They've experienced your staff. They've experienced, oh, this is a place that can probably give me what I need. Then you got to have your day 2 down, but that's the cycle. There's a different communication at each space to then cause a person to say, yeah, I'm going to get in, I'm going to commit this.
So when we first started working together, so based on what you were doing, like when you were, like you said, you were getting like 8 to 9 new patients a month, whatever, with these Facebook people, did you end up modifying like how you did the day one, like what you said during, because these were cold leads and these weren't coming in as referrals and stuff like that?
And I got super frustrated for a little while. I actually hated you for about a month. I got over it.
Yeah, I remember, like, yeah, we had a few. Yeah, like, I was like, well, let's change some things.
It was frustrating because I was closing at 85% and the Facebook lead started to truck into my practice and it dropped below 50%. And that isn't a great feeling. You don't want to go down in your close rate. You'd like it all to go up. And one of the epiphanies I did have was they found me through this. And so when they
Mm.
came into the room, they would actually be holding this in their hand.
Oh,
And
really?
what does
Wow.
this do? It distracts you. You can't connect with a human being when they're doing this. But that was how they found me. That was their teddy bear that caused this connection to happen. So when I realized that, I said, oh, I need to be just this much better at building rapport with a person. Right. And I needed to have the courage to say, okay, can we put that on cell phone? Can we put that on silent for a moment just so we can talk? Right. And I had to work on that to build that,
Wow.
matter of fact. And then I say, so what do you do for a living? Because, by the way, that's what we said in the videos, right? So I go, well, what do you do for a living? And
Mm.
there's a posture, there's a facial expression, there's a mannerism, there's a voice tone. There's a lot that goes into putting a human being at ease before I say, so what's going on with you? And then,
Right.
I've got my paper in front. And one of the things I do is when they start talking, I start writing as if what they're saying is the most important thing in the entire world. Right. And I had to get better at those moves and really put time and focus on them to start to bring my close rate back up. So my close rate still isn't 85%, but it doesn't have to be because I'm seeing scads of new people. So
Mhm.
I'm a little bit shorter, but I really focus on that rapport.
Yeah.
And one of my values is when a person comes to the practice and say they say no to me, I don't want to do care here. I want them to feel good that they kept their dignity. So when they walk out the door, they say, thank you for your time. I say, you're welcome. And they shake their hand. But if your day one, day two is tight and doesn't take an hour and a half, and you're seeing 25 new patients in a month or good volume, right? You don't mind having a person come and go. That person got to learn about chiropractic. I told that person about them. And maybe they got free x-rays in addition. I just have to make sure that enough people are saying yes, that I'm getting paid and my practice is growing, right?
Right.
And there's another value of the stats is you could figure out where your weak points are. Is my day one right? Is my day two right? Is my marketing right? Roughly speaking. Actually, it goes marketing day one, day two, right?
Yeah. Right. Man, that is very powerful. Um, Anything else you want to add in before we maybe open this up to some Q&A with people?
No, I think this is a good Q&A time. I feel like we got a lot of the lay of the land together, and I like that when you and I talk, we riff, and it feels like we're going all over the place, but we're inside a container of a
Yeah.
purpose of trying to bring people in. So I
Right.
think we got it. So I'd love to hear some feedback. How's this
Yeah.
landing?
So do anybody want to jump? Like, there's two ways we can do this. One, we're going to open this up to Q&A for a little bit with you guys. So if you want to write your question, I know I asked you to write them down on a notepad at the beginning, and if you had questions, you could post them in the chat. So you can post them in the chat, we'll answer them. Or if you actually want to come on here face to face, just comment in the chat. I want just write face to face, and I'll send you an invite to open up your video, and we can talk. We can chat.
Learning to work the media. I mean, while we're waiting for someone to step up, it's this is new, doing this on Zoom, and there's a perfect idea of split testing. What's going to be the result of this? Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Dr. David Palm says, can you talk a bit about what type of videos are best for each format, YouTube, TikTok, etc.? So he wants to know, like, if you're using a different platform or using are using different video formats, or is it all the same and you're just taking one video and repurposing it for all of them?
Okay, great question. So I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability because we fell into what works. Number one, iPhone is your friend. You don't need more than an iPhone. I think it is good to have a microphone, and I like the wireless mic and experiment with a couple different types. You don't have to go expensive. Once you've got it on the iPhone and it's stored within there, you want to pick the app that your staff likes. That's the answer. So if your staff has an easy time using YouTube, YouTube is fantastic. I mean, I used YouTube for a while and for a few different purposes. We use that for our website. And also you want your marketer to enjoy it as well. We now use TikTok. One, because it's a fast upload. It's a really good, what is this? I do the thumbs up and it appears in the thing.
Oh, really? Is that how that's getting up there?
That's
Oh,
showing for you. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow.
So TikTok is a fast upload, which is critical. If it takes a long time to upload, it'll die. You'll get a bunch of videos on your iPhone, you'll get behind, and then you get Chris calling you, where are they? Another one is TikTok has a really good editing software. So Tina, who's been killing it with these things for me, I mean, it's been great, had never edited a video before, got into the TikTok, started editing. It was intuitive and that worked. So whatever produces the fastest is the answer. And I'm I'm a huge proponent of trusting my staff, saying, guys, what works? So we
Mhm.
tried, YouTube does work. I'm a little more familiar with that. The TikTok is faster and had good editing, and that allowed us to throw information at Chris more quickly.
Yeah.
And TikTok plays nice with Facebook and Instagram.
Well, I was just gonna say, okay, so like as far as like the type of ads that I'm running where I'm seeing the best results is the Facebook so I'm running Facebook and Instagram ads, but I'm running Reels, Facebook and Instagram Reels. So when he makes a video for TikTok, his staff is also uploading it to their Facebook page.
Hmm.
I don't know if they upload it to Instagram or not, um, because I pull everything from your Facebook page, like when I get the videos. But like I know because like his videos that he made for TikTok, they're on his Facebook page, but they have the TikTok logo on them. But I'm running them as reels. Like reels are where people consume the most amount of video these days. I'm sure you guys, like myself, have been on Instagram or Facebook and you watch a video, the vertical, portrait style video, and then you scroll to the next, and then you watch that and you scroll to the next, and you can spend 30 minutes doing that,
Yeah.
sometimes longer. So like hopefully not too long, but hey, it is what it is. But reels is I have him film everything in portrait view, the vertical video. And a great thing about that too is it takes up a lot more real estate on their phone versus a landscape video. So in your landscape, you've got this video, and then you can see the next video under it. When you're in a reel, all you have to focus on is that video.
I forgot that you said that. We do that now as habit, and I forgot why. And I love that, where you got to have a banter with your marketing guy. And
Yeah.
also another reason, I mean, to just talk up Chris's work, is my staff like interacting with you. And I think that's
Yeah.
another big key, is each link in the chain has got to be smooth. And
Right.
that will allow for the volume to be created.
Right.
I don't like the big marketing companies where you don't know who you're going to interact with. I mean, I'm sure you could get it done,
Yeah.
but whatever, speed is really important. Simplicity is really important.
Yeah. And
Hopefully
that's one thing I pride myself on is that when you and I work, like when I work with people, I work with you. I don't pass you off to team member number 8. You know what I mean? I don't have that. But before we get into some more questions, I'm going to post a link to your Calendly. You want to tell them like if they want to jump on you have like a strategy session that you can do with people. I'm going to post the link here in the chat, but do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do doing this, uh, having this success with this. I've now coached about 6 offices into being able to produce these videos, and some of it makes your head explode. There's so many pieces to it. So there's 2 parts of the coaching. One of them is I will, we'll just get on the phone for half an hour, and I'll lay out the format, similar to what we did with the 5, but talk about the elements that are in place that you need to have to make the video work and to make it efficient. And then if you decide you want someone to really help you work out the pain points and help you train your staff, then we can do that professionally. And, of course, there'll be a fee for that, and we'll work out. Everybody's at a different level. So I don't have like a canned program. It's like, nope, we get in, we got to figure out what we got to do to get this machine rolling, and unsubluxate the process, because really everybody can be creative. We just need the container to know what you're trying to create into, and then the blocks that we have. Because saying be yourself, all right, well, that's nice, but if I can
Hey,
say,
what does that mean? Be myself. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
trying that and it didn't work. Well, did you know that you have a defensive posture while you're doing the videos? And did you know your staff always rotates to the right when they're doing, when they're taking that shot? Different things that can be tuned directly to fit you. That's the second step. First step is we make the landscape, which then you could then take and run with it. Second step, we get into the pain points and we fix you.
Yeah. Okay, so I posted in the chat, guys. If you want to copy that or click on that link, he's got some open available times. It's for a 30-minute strategy call. Talk about where you are, where you want to be, and give you some advice on how you can basically do what he's doing.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it another level, you guys can have that conversation.
Another, Another thing that's impacted me, I've been a cash practice for 20 years. I'm very proud of that fact. And I decided to do that when I was a student, when I heard doctors complaining about how bad insurance was and how it was controlling their practice. And I said, well, that's easy. I'll just be a cash practice. Well, it turns out it's not that easy. And it's not actually, when a human being's in front of you, building the value so that they'll pay you. Okay, that's one skill set. But the most effective reason, in my opinion, to be in network with medical insurance, which I'm not, but the best reason to do that, if I were going to do it, is to attract new people. Because when they don't know you from Adam, or they're very unfamiliar, they want to feel like they're a part of the team. So having the success with marketing and pulling in a whole ton of people without ever signing on to an insurance company, it's a game. It could change the profession. We could kick insurance to the curb in the big vision. So this is an important piece, being able to decide, you know what, I would like to double the number of new patients that I see. Well, man, desperation goes away. You know, I'm now much faster to go, you know, you should see that other chiropractor, they're closer to you because I'm getting full. I want more. I want more of you guys to have this.
I do have a question for you. So earlier you kind of you mentioned this, but I kind of want to just stress the importance of it. So a lot of chiros that I've talked to, like clients and stuff, like one of the excuses they kind of give me is, I don't have any patients that I can film, right? Like, what I think that's saying is like, I have some level of fear of asking a patient if they want to be filmed,
Yep.
you know, like, so instead it's, I don't have anybody. Well, you've got lots of people, you know. You guys keep it really simple, and you actually basically said exactly what you say is your staff, like in an excited manner, when you guys want to film somebody, they just ask, hey, do you want to be in our TikTok video today? Like, it's not, Mary, you know, you came in here with headaches, and there are a lot of people out there suffering with headaches. And if they heard your story, you know, it would make such a big impact. It could actually help somebody. Would you mind if we filmed like it? You don't do that. You guys are, it sounds like you're just like, hey, do you want to be in our TikTok video today? And if they say no, then you're like, okay, great, maybe next time. And then you just leave it alone. And if they say yes, then you're like, okay, great. And then the girls know to get you mic'd up and
Well, okay, so let's talk about this. When I do I'm a little bit of a contrarian, if you haven't picked that up yet. And so when everybody's doing, you know, computer systems and stats online, I'm using old school clipboards. I'm a student of Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, when he tells that story about how he went into a hotel and he called on the phone and he was there in 5 minutes. And by the time he got to the hotel, they had a bellhop ready for him. They knew his name. They had a mint on his pillow and a bunch of restaurants for him. And so he came back, he said, how are you guys so organized? And the guy kind of smirked, he was a little bit conceited, but he deserved it. And he said, it's all a series of checklists, right? And so here we have our TikTok record. This is a clipboard that sits by the desk, reminding this, it's a physical reminder. We got TikToks to do. And over here, we have the person's name, whether they said yes or no. The first person said yes, the second person said no. What date did we ask them on? Did we film it? And when did we post it? Okay, super simple. But you know what human beings like? I see this one that went all the way across and I go, it feels good. It's a dopamine reward cascade to finish a checklist. And so this is one of my secret tools to make sure that the TikTok videos get done.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And if you kind of look at the top of that too, just the comment, like, I mean, look, he got 1, 2, like 3 no's in a row. Do you know how many people would probably give up after that and say like, oh, nobody wants to do video? Like, people always make things like a bigger problem than what it is. You know, it's kind of like sometimes when somebody, like, I've had clients that are like, people are leaving all kinds of negative comments on our video. And then like, I'll go and look and it's like literally one. And I'm like, you know, what do you mean everybody's leaving?
It is scary. It's scary to put yourself out there.
Right.
There's a pure fear factor. And it's not, we like to think that we're rational. But when you're getting into that performative aspect, it's not. It's much more, much deeper than that. There was a question there about miking up patients. Did I see?
Oh, let's see here. Oh yeah, do you mic up the patient as well?
We've tried both. We've tried it where we had an extension cord to the iPhone, and we put the mic on the patient to make the big noise, and that will work. Oh, by the way, take the face paper away. Clean the table, do it without the face paper. The face paper messes up the noise. It's just the right frequency, okay? Yeah. What I do is I actually put the mic on my lapel right here, and I lean in and I actually change my position. I select an adjustment that will allow me to get my chest close to whether it's a lumbar, thoracic, or cervicals. I'll lean in to do the cervicals, bringing the mic in closer proximity. We found this works the best. If you mic up directly, it'll work. It's cumbersome for how I shoot stuff. I'm actually going to say when you mic up the patient, it's going to make a better noise. So now you have a trade-off. So for us, we decided this gets us faster. It gets us, I'm telling the story. But if you're someone, by the way, who's really good at editing, I love minimal editing. If you got a staff member or you're good at editing, mic up the patient, and you could even have your talking head over here while you're adjusting. This person really needs a firm touch on the left side, but a lighter touch on the right side. Isn't it interesting that every spine's different while you're moving? And this is just one crazy idea you could try, but that's a good question.
Yeah. What other questions we got? We've got, we'll maybe kind of close this up around 1:30. So we got about 7 or 8 minutes left here. So anybody else have any other questions? I'm going to put the link to Dr. Evans' schedule, his Calendly link here in the chat. Again, if you guys want to schedule just a 30-minute strategy session with him. And he's a no pressure kind of guy, get on, and I'm sure you'll get a ton of value out of your conversation with him. And if anybody else has any questions, just post them up in the chat.
Another point that's occurring to me is how important it is to have whatever your production in to be congruent with your staff. And I'm of the mindset, I've been studying leadership for a long time. And if you're good at leadership, if you're a strong leader, you can give back leadership to somebody and you haven't lost anything. So if you're in a weaker position, you have to be in charge all the time, make all the decisions, kind of prove yourself. If you have a strong leadership, whether it's masculine or feminine, it is actually pretty easy to go, what do you think? Okay, why don't we do it your way? And if you have a good split testing environment where you've got someone like Chris on the back end and the staff decides to try something, the answer is let's try it. And it really creates an incredible team environment where the staff begin to own it. Whatever the thing is, choice of microphone, angle, type of video, even if they're like, hey, could you say this? And let's see what happens. Now, it's a very important team building exercise. And it's fun because it's not just my opinion as the leader. We actually are going to hand it over to Chris, and Chris is going to report back. Yeah, that worked. Oh yeah, that didn't work. It's a chance for them to invest in it. Talking about Tina's a volleyball player and is very competitive by nature. She loves to compete, loves to uplift people, very competitive. So this is a chance for her to get competitive. You know what? I'm going to get more views. We're going to get more of this, versus my afternoon assistant she's not as competitive, but she does like to conquer stuff. She does like to get on top of a task, and that's her reward. So okay, who's brain's wired to which thing? And then, can you be flexible and allow that to come out? And if you could do that, by the way, your production goes up because then people, again, they aren't trying to be something they're not.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this call today as well is giving yourself permission to make bad videos.
Oh yeah.
And like, if you can just cause so many people, they want that video to just be perfect. And, the only way you get better at doing something, I said this earlier, is by doing more of it, and just having fun with it. Like at the end of the day, like you said at the very beginning of the call, if you're not having fun making your content, it's just you're gonna stop doing it. You're just gonna hate it. So you got to kind of figure out, what is it that you'd like to have fun at doing. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Well, actually, one of my friends is on here, Dr. Elra Morgan. Okay, so Dr. Elra, he and I are both 80s toys collectors. So he's a Transformers guy, has all kinds of Transformers and stuff. He's likes the what was the name of the character that Nicolas Cage played, the Marvel character with the skull, the flames.
It's Knight Rider, something.
Ghost Rider. Yeah, so he's a Ghost Rider fan and stuff like that, right? So, but the thing is, you guys can tell, by my backdrop here, right, as well. I love vintage toys. if I owned a practice right now and I were going to make content, I would find a way to incorporate this stuff into my video of me adjusting somebody and educate, like I would have something fun like this, I would make references to the 80s, as like something nostalgic, and that's a lot of, when you kind of like, for me, like that would be like so in tune for me. And like when you consider like kind of what the ideal patient is, it's usually like, like a woman 35 to 55 years of age, those are like those Gen Xers, right? And some millennials mixed in, but like, those people are nostalgic. So this type of stuff would probably jive well with people in my community, right? But you got to kind of figure out like I have a client of mine in New Jersey. The guy I was talking about in New Jersey, like he's a huge, big fisherman. He's got a boat, goes out in the ocean like every weekend and stuff like that. And like his whole office is like decorated with his like trophy mounts and stuff like that. So like if I were making video, I would find a way to like, kind of tie some of that stuff in, like just so people could kind of see my personality, but also talking about like, hey, this is, I love what you said in the beginning of your video. Like you always kind of start in with an action shot. Right. So it's not just a head talking at the beginning because you got 3 seconds to make an impact. So by starting off with that action shot of you adjusting, the person that just tuned in feels like they're already involved. And it's like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then you're like, you turn to the camera and like, we have a plumber here today. Okay, plumber, why is the plumber there? That's my next question. So incorporating that stuff, or doing that seems to work well, but you got to kind of figure out, what's going to work for you. So you need to experiment or split test with different stuff. So many people just do that. Okay, I'm going to put up an image and a video. I got my A/B test. Let's run it. But if you can crank out some content, then you can test multiple things at once and kind of figure out what are people in your community going to respond to.
I think you just summed up the last 45 minutes. I think it was like a 2-minute. That was sweet. That was it.
Yeah.
That's everything I know, man.
Well, cool. Hey, so again, there's a link. I would strongly recommend jumping on with Dr. Evan. He's just a good dude, and you're going to get a ton of value out of what he has to share with you. But yeah, click that link. I'm going to send out a replay for everybody. So if you joined in a little bit late, there will be a replay going out tomorrow. So you can catch the back side of that or the front side of it if you missed that. But other than that, anything you want to end with?
Dude, I'm having fun. I'd like to do more of this.
Yeah. Let's do it again. Obviously we only had I think 14 people on here. So there's tens of thousands in the profession that need to hear the message. So yeah, we'll definitely do it again. So, hey, I hope you guys, thanks for taking time out of your day to spend this last hour with us. I hope you did get a lot of value out of it. If you did, shoot me an email and just let me know whether or not you enjoyed today's web class. And do you want to give out your email at all, Dr. Evan?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat, but also say it's Evan Mander, like a salamander, only it's me, evanmander@gmail.com.
evanmander@gmail.com. So if you want to just email Dr. Evan directly as well, you can do that.
And I love studying Viking tradition because I've got like this much Swedish ancestry. So naturally I tell everybody I'm Viking, but I love the campfire ways of learning. So, the active teaching, you also learn stuff, but anything collaborative. Hey, let's talk about it. Tell me how this landed, what ideas you've had. I think the more stories we can tell each other, because the other thing too, I've got the zeitgeist right now, as is evident by the success in the practice, both financially and making a fabulous living right now, seeing a lot of people, and there's a familiarity of people coming out. It's a real sweet spot. But the market's going to change. It's going to shift, right? So the more knowledge and depth we can have of human psychology and how people buy and are interested in stuff, if it shifts, we just pivot. We go, okay, cool. What are we going back to newspapers now? Cool. We'll go back to printing press. What are we going? Carrier pigeons? We're going back into town crier. It doesn't matter. If the intent is to bring people in so they can get benefit of chiropractic care in your office, so you can make an awesome living serving people, then we take these principles and we just shift with them. And so that's the next level I want to achieve, is no matter what the market does, I can be there for it and just shift where I need to.
Right.
Anyway, having collaborations like this gets closer to that. Sharing ideas, man.
100%. All right, guys. Well, hey, have a great rest of your week, and we'll definitely be hosting another one of these soon, I'm sure. And I'll keep you updated when we do. In the meantime, catch you on the flip side.